Sandy Hook Promise started with a few members of the community who were so traumatized by what happened at Sandy Hook that weekend they got together and said, we need to do something.
And when that group approached her with the concept, Nicole Hockley says she eagerly jumped on board. Nicole's son, 6-year-old Dylan Hockley, whom she calls her beautiful butterfly, was one of the 26 victims of the Sandy Hook tragedy.
I just wanted to create change. I wanted to do something that would save lives. I wasn't totally, it was a concept. I wasn't totally sure what it meant tangibly and how it was actually going to work, but I knew I wanted to try.
It took a couple of years, she says, for Promise to begin taking shape.
We were learning. We were learning about what happened at the shooting at Sandy Hook. We were learning about the causes of gun violence. We had the failure of trying to pass universal background checks in the Senate in April 2013.
But that failure, she says, turned on the light, convincing the group to try to affect change in another way.
And when we first launched our sample programs in 2014, after recognizing that people didn't know how to learn the signs and that there was a chance for teaching kids and changing a generation, when those programs really started taking off, that was when Sandy Hook Promise started to fly.
The cornerstone of the Sandy Hook Promise programs is the 10 signs of violence: withdrawing from friends and activities, social isolation, cruelty to animals, and more.
We didn't develop that knowledge ourselves. That is knowledge and data that has been evident for many years from the Secret Service, from the FBI, from numerous studies, that more often than not, when someone is going to commit an act of violence or self-harm, they give off signs.
The problem was law enforcement and security personnel had been trained in recognizing those signs for years, but students, teachers, administrators, and parents had not. And that's where Sandy Hook Promises programs come in.
Simple nod, a smile.
Start with Hello is designed to combat social isolation. Say Something teaches kids to recognize the signs of violence and tell a trusted adult. And the Safe Promise Clubs are student-led groups who pledge to take charge of keeping their schools safe.
And as it has proven successful, as we've saved several hundred people from suicide, as we've stopped 11 credible planned school shooting plots, I know that what we're doing is working.
Facing trauma, being in a horrible situation, people almost invariably react with, I have to do something,
yes.
Right? They don't always come up with something that literally, actually demonstrably saves lives.
That's very true, and I am humbled by the team that I get to work with every day because we are so committed to solutions.
Nicole says December 14th is still a difficult day, the emotions crowding in. She copes by doubling down on the work, staying busy, focusing on the mission, developing more partnerships, working with more donors, saving more lives.
And then on 12/14, I'll kind of emotionally crash. My heart is forever broken, and I am forever changed after what happened with my son's murder. And I am probably right now as close to the person that I was before 12/14 as I've ever been, but I know I'm never going to be her again. She is part of my history.
But her future is focused on expanding Sandy Hook Promise. In the new year, Nicole says she and her colleagues want to not only reach more kids in more schools in more cities, but also drill deeper in certain high trauma areas, probing for ways to be even more effective at ending the violence. These days, the group's Newtown office is quiet with the staff working remotely since the pandemic, but the goal hasn't changed and the work continues at a fevered pace.
We're on a mission to protect children from violence, and in particular gun violence. We're on a mission to end school shootings. And we not only just talk about it, we have the tools to actually deliver the results.